So, although thus far I have been positioning most of the videos on my channel as self-development, I decided that now, while it is still young, it is important for me to address what all of this self-help, self-development, and self-actualization is actually for. What, at least I believe, all of these tools that not just me but other creators are facilitating should be leading towards. So this video is not quite like the other videos that I have made. However, I hope that from here on out, I will find a way to integrate more of this particular kind of longer perspective, we could say, view on everything that I'm trying to do and that I believe all of the other creators, all of the other influencers, and in general, all of society should be striving to do. So let's talk about the future and what is happening or not happening fast enough or intensely enough, in my personal opinion, in the world. But before we start, if you're new here, hi there, my darling humanoids, androids, reptiloids, asteroids, or whatever way you like to identify yourself. It is, once again, Maria, and I'm so glad to see you here. Welcome to Life Spirals, where I provide tools for you to amplify your own personal life, as well as positively impact the lives of those around you, whether it is through working on yourself or through actually going out there and attempting to create something for the good of others. So for some resources that I have already created besides the YouTube channel itself, you can also go to the links in the description of the video and check out the different free resources that I have provided via the top link. And in that same description, you can also find my Patreon page if you would like to further support the cause that I am trying to pursue. And obviously, if you find the content that I create or the resources that I provide helpful, please do like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you would like to say something, if you have anything to mention or suggest, because obviously that will help spread these messages more with the algorithms, and I would really appreciate that. And quite frankly, I think the whole planet would appreciate that, and your future children would appreciate that, trust me on that. But all of that aside, let's just jump into this new level of the spiral, which I welcome all of you into, whether you're new or whether you have been spiraling with me for some time now. So obviously, currently in the world, there's a lot of very, very difficult situations occurring in all sorts of aspects of human and animal and plant and just in general planetary welfare. I'm not going to go into the details of what is happening because I'm pretty sure the news does a good enough job of highlighting all of those topics without my assistance. And what I'm here to talk about is actually the solutions to all of those things and what is being done thus far, what some really good people are trying to do, and how you could also potentially contribute to actually resolving a lot of those issues. Because at the end of the day, and this is a slight commentary on the media landscape, although there is the saying that provide yourself with the oxygen mask before you secure the oxygen mask on your child, like, they say in airplanes. And I think it is really amazing how much super duper helpful self-help, self-development, and business and finance content there is out there. I feel like influencers and people in the free media could do more to actually align their content with the larger, more transpersonal goals that the people of the world could be setting while they are embarking on the journeys of self-help, self-development, self-actualization. Because, in at least my personal understanding of the matter, pretty much most issues that we have in the world currently are rooted in the precise fact that the previous generations that came before my own and the younger generations, or maybe like the millennial generation, have already been doing the job of getting themselves to the self-actualization stage from the survival stage, and acquiring all of these resources and finances for themselves, achieving their goals, achieving their dreams. But a lot of this has been done in a very egotistical way. So although, of course, yes, there's already so many people that are doing their best to help others, there's even boomers who are setting up lots of charities, who are doing really, really amazing work that I really highly admired. And I had an honor to myself work with some people of the older generation who are actively trying to improve the world. I feel like not enough people are doing so. And also, to set up a charity, I feel like a person has to already be actualized for themselves and wealthy enough for themselves to a certain extent in order to have all of this spare time to once again secure the oxygen mask on their child. And you know, it is all great and grand when like a billionaire goes and creates all of these foundations and brings fresh water to the children in Africa and tries to replant forests and does all of these initiatives. But you know, it feels like a little bit too little, too late, after they have also created businesses and built their wealth on top of the misery of millions of people, deforestation, and other global issues, or even things like I don't know if I can actually even say this or if this is going to put me down in YouTube algorithms, but you know, it is just a fact of life that a lot of profit is made on international conflicts. I'm not going to say the word of what the actual process is, but I think you understand what I mean by international conflict, which is not just debating, you know, not just diplomacy, but actual proper aggression. The only reason why pretty much people go and pursue those causes, at least from what I have learned of thus far, is mainly rooted in some higher up people's desire to financially benefit from these processes. I hope I don't get banned for saying this, but yeah, just so you know. But okay. Traumatized by international conflict, Maria, please go to the side. It is not time for you to be out here. So the point is, of what I'm trying to say, is that I believe that because our generation, and once again millennials, the thing is, I can't really call myself Gen Z or millennial. Like, I'm one of those people who is like bang on in between the two generations. So you know what? In saying our generation, I'll mean both generations. So our generation, I believe, was fortunate enough to, first of all, have access to all of this information just really floating out there that lets us know of the exact issues and problems in the world, as well as the different ways that the people have been finding to solve those problems. And our generations are really, thanks to, once again, the freedom of information out there at the moment, are really able to comprehend and see the links between the variety of processes that are simultaneously occurring. And, you know, really, when you... Okay, you know what, here, I once again have to switch on my compassion because I really do understand when an individual is purely focused on their own survival and how difficult it can be to climb out of the ego mindset when you are in that, quite frankly, panicked state of being. But first of all, I'm not sure that this type of video would even reach that kind of person, so I'm not sure that I actually needed to address this. But even if it did, if anything, as I have already mentioned in my previous videos, which you can go and check out, just saying, the best way to get yourself out of a really, really bad situation, out of the survival mind state, is to go and try to help others. And before you even try to go and help others, to really take a larger perspective view on what is actually going on. Because from all of the therapy and psychology that I have been studying, essentially the quickest solution to feeling miserable or down about the way that your life is going is to zoom out and realize how great your life actually is in comparison to some people who have it much, much worse than you. And, really develop that sense of gratitude for what it is that you have and think that, you know what? Maybe my life actually isn't that bad. And you know what? Now that I think my life isn't that bad, maybe I can actually go and help improve the life of somebody who has it worse off than I do. And then you go and you do that and you help somebody else. And then you feel great about yourself because, hey, look, not only is my life not that bad, but I am actually doing good for the world. And that is that is the initial push that I find to be the most effective in helping somebody who is in a really, really miserable situation. And so even when a person is in that state, they still have the capacity to zoom out and look at the larger picture of the world. And in that process of zooming out, I believe all of us really have the opportunity to, once again, properly comprehend all of those processes that are actually happening in the world, what is correlated to what, see, once again, all of the links, all of the correlations of how the world functions. Yes, it takes time, it takes a certain amount of brain power. But you know what? Especially if you're trying to escape your own daily life, this is actually super fun. I'm just talking as somebody who has been there, who has been in that super low state. Honestly, escaping into thinking of, okay, but what is actually the world like at large? What is the planet like at large? That really, really zoomed out planetary thinking is one of the best ways to, get out of that, once again, misery. And besides getting you out of the misery, or just, maybe not misery, but just the boring daily life, the daily routine that is really unfulfilling to you, you can actually see all of the opportunities that exist out there in the world and the ways that you could personally, potentially contribute to all of those amazing things and causes and potentials if you just start aligning yourself with those eventual better goals, better potentials from the get-go, from the lowest point, from wherever you are at right now in your personal life. And although thus far I have been mainly talking about doing this from the lowest low point, just because that is where I started on my personal journey, this also applies to everybody else, in my opinion. So even if your life is good, once again, even if your life is pretty great as it is, especially actually if your life is great, especially if your life is amazing, then hey, you already have every single opportunity to take the time out to properly re-strategize and think, what is it I am actually striving for beyond your own personal ego requirements, ego desires, and ego needs? Because, okay, let's say your life is already pretty great, and then you want your life to be even better than it is right now. But then once you get to that better, what will be, first of all, the consequence of you potentially stepping over people's heads to get to that better? Second of all, what will be the, as cliche as that might sound, what will be the carbon footprint that you will leave behind yourself while you're getting to that better? Maybe if your dream is to have a private jet, to have a yacht, to open maybe your own private jet or yacht company, what will be the impact on the world that you're leaving? And then how do you not end up becoming one of those millionaires or billionaires in the future who is then trying to frantically and in a panicked state compensate all of the damage that they have done to the planet, to other people, to the world, just because finally somebody is beginning to mention the whole issue behind how unsustainable, unfair, unethical your business practices and financial acquisition has been on your journey of growth. So once again, I am spiraling like crazy here, but what I'm trying to say is, wherever you're at in life, I believe it is important that now that you're watching this video, if you have not already done so, what you should do it starts including ethical, sustainability, and moral considerations into all of the dreams and all of the desires that you're pursuing. Of course, once again, I understand that it is very, very difficult to do things perfectly right away. You can't just go and start growing your own food and create your own garden and start sewing your own clothes and doing all of those extreme eco-friendly things and be super duper ethical straight away. It is a step-by-step process, and it is not really necessary either. But what you could do is just ensure that when you're thinking about your future goals, you also include the rest of the world into the picture, into the vision, into the general consideration that you have about what it is that you're actually trying to build too. And when you're considering the whole world, once again, do that zooming out and think about, okay, so if I want my future self and my children to live in the best reality possible in the future, what would it actually take to get to the best possible future? What would it actually be like in that best possible future? And are there some ways that I can contribute to the process of creating the best possible future, even in the smallest ways that I'm capable of right now? Even if it just starts with you using less plastic, or once again, going and volunteering for some charities, or just doing literally anything else that is considered moral, ethical, kind, or, sustainable, optimally regenerative. But so, okay, let's say that now, after me going on the whole spiral, you got the memo. But you might be asking yourself, okay, sure, I'm gonna do that, but where do I begin? In the state, in the lifestyle that I'm leading right now, what can I actually do, and what are other people actually doing that is already contributing to the better future? What initiatives exist out there that maybe I can look to, that I can integrate into my own lifestyle, or think of ways to strategize my life in a way that contributes to those initiatives? And although I would really love to propose my own initiative already in this video, because I have mentioned it in my last video, I don't think it is time yet. So let's just begin with something simple that already exists out there and quite frankly has a much, much closer deadline than my initiative would have. So what am I actually on about? If you haven't heard, the UN, the United Nations, has the 2030 Sustainability Initiative. Okay, so hi, this is the post-recording Maria. And towards the end of the video, I realized that it actually came out to be absolutely massive, a lot bigger and longer than I expected it to be. So I will be splitting this video, which is actually much larger initially, into a series of smaller videos. So yeah, if I haven't posted the next one yet, just wait a little bit and I will post the follow-up video after this one. And as a whole big picture, I promise it all makes sense, especially if you watch it from the very, very first video to the last video. So yeah, and if I haven't mentioned it in this particular video that you're watching yet, like, share and subscribe and comments and do all of that stuff. And there's a top link with free resources in the links down below. Hope you enjoyed and have a really, really good day, week, month, year, and life. See ya!